course that button won't work. There we go. Da, da, da.
Are we online?
Oh, I've made a mistake.
Did you?
Keep talking.
Okay.
Keep talking while
we're testing new systems here. Rectify it. Rectify it.
I knew.
Of course I had to. I
knew
had
that
to.
you were going to change that.
I had to. It was just too, you know. I took the bait. I was too baity. I'm sorry.
You were baited.
I've been baited. Hi everybody. Never mind my silly talk. We're testing the systems.
Never mind her silly other
yuckiness. Yes. It's
what?
just kids. Blame it on the kids.
Almost a sentence.
Blame it on the pig. Yeah,
almost
it's not my fault. Anyway, yeah.
I turned on all of the streaming software.
And nothing's gone on.
Well, no, without actually turning on
anything.
The YouTube streaming system. So there was like blind streaming. It was like putting on a blindfold. If you can imagine putting on a blindfold, getting in a car at night.
Oh God, this is one of those analogies again.
And wearing sunglasses, right? Can you imagine that?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I can actually.
Can you? Okay.
I can. I'd probably fall asleep.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be driving, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't know how to start a car.
Because you can't drive, can you?
I wouldn't know how to turn the key in the bloody car lock thing, whatever it is called.
The car lock thing, whatever it's called.
Yes.
I've no idea. Yeah. I've no way of checking the YouTube stream.
Nah.
I've no way of checking if it's going out.
You can't check it through there.
How?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
You point at the plant over there and go, can you check the YouTube stream through that plant?
That's what I'm asking.
Perhaps if I scratch under my arm it will work. Oh. Stop it. Stop it. Stop.
Oh God!
Stop molesting me.
People must love this. People must love the technical beginning when we test the streams, when we test the screams. How are you going to see any chatting? You know, shouldn't you like have Facebook open somewhere and see if there's any chatting?
Chatting.
Yes.
As opposed to non-chatting.
Yes. You know what I mean. What if suddenly 100 people decided to watch us all at the same time and ask questions? What would you do? And the only time that happens, your Facebook would be turned off and you wouldn't be able to see the questions. Wouldn't that be a shame?
Well, it's not going to happen though, is it?
Of course it's not going to happen, but you still have to have the chatting.
Right. So
absolutely.
But you're right. You're right. I have no idea what's happening in the chat because I set up.
Well, can you check it on there?
Can I get to the end of a sentence?
No.
Please, can I get to the end of a sentence?
No, because I want to know if things work. Do things work?
Sometimes.
Are they working now?
Right.
Did you see the change of tense there, guys who are learning English? Are they working now?
Are you functioning now? Right.
I'm teaching people English here. Haven't you noticed?
Are you?
Yes.
Are you? Right. I need to... Well, you see, with this new system that we've got...
Well, very dark. But that's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't let you finish again.
Never
I'm
satisfied.
sorry. Okay, continue with this. This new system that we have is beautiful because we have this red thing at the bottom.
Welcome to Unsatisfied Parenting. The almost peaceful podcast for almost peaceful people.
Almost, but what do you mean almost peaceful? I'm always peaceful unless unless you wind me up.
Where's that key again?
When you wind me up, then I'm like...
Then you're wound up.
A jack in the box, an evil jack in the box.
Wind her up and let her go. And off she goes.
Yep.
Well, the thing is that this application that we're testing today the GoLightstream.com application.
Yeah.
This kind of noises coming out of you today.
I'm in pain.
You're in pain?
Yeah.
Why are you in pain?
I've been push-upping yesterday.
Push-upping?
Push-upping.
Right. I imagine that means doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Right.
My shoulders are kind of not there today.
Why is it called a push-up?
Because you push yourself up.
Okay. Why isn't it called a letdown? So you can do the same thing, can't you? You let yourself go down. And you push
if you call it push-up, letdown.
Well, you could just call it the letdown.
But you want to be positive, not negative. If it's a letdown, then it sounds like you're letting yourself down. But by exercising, you're not letting yourself down. By exercising, you're pushing yourself up to the higher levels of your life. So it's more positive to call it push-up.
I'm going to call them letdowns from now on. How many letdowns have you done?
It's typical for him. He's such a negative mindset.
What? I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. Well, look, according to this application, up here should be all the data about what's going on.
Shouldn't it be saying online? Big flashing sign or something.
Yes. Why is it not doing that? Pass. Not sure. Don't know. Let's see if I can bring up the chat here.
See if you can.
Well, before I was entirely in control of the chat.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure if I'm in control of anything at all. I don't even know if it's going out, bro. I haven't even had a second to check.
I've been telling you for like 10 minutes to check it. Can you please check it? Man,
I'm trying
to kick their butt.
I'm trying to check it. Trying. What's that? You're always trying. You're trying me. Yeah. Right. Look.
Or do not. There is no try.
The red and the red.
You've got that thing. That's nice.
Isn't it nice?
Is it actually working? Can you try that? Can you test the sound?
There's probably no sound. Okay. Let's test the sound.
Yeah,
oh no, we can't.
Why?
We can't.
Why can't we?
Because my Bluetooth is on. I've got to turn off the Bluetooth.
Why do you even turn your Bluetooth on? Oh, you've got those headphones.
Because I've got headphones. I don't want to pump up my. I don't want to force everyone to listen to my music because I know everyone has different. Right. Right. That's it. Out with the headphones. They're going out. You are all going to have to listen to Iron Maiden for the next week. Yeah. Followed by some obscure British band that nobody
knows. Iron Wombat.
There's probably a place in Australia. Right?
No. Okay. It's you haven't read those books, have you?
What books?
These girly teenage books.
I still haven't checked.
Check it while I'm talking, okay? Because you need to check my voice, my beautiful voice. There was this series of girly books, and they were all pink, and I can't remember. I don't know what they were called in English because I only read them in Slovak. And they had these four girly characters, and one of them played in a rock and roll band that was called Iron Wombat. No.
So what? Can you repeat that? Because I was in the middle of checking the stream.
I'm just
not multitasking very well.
I think there's about 25 or 30 of those books. There's a series of girly books, and I can't remember what they were called. I don't know what they were called. I don't know. It's for teenage girls. Okay, it was meant for teenage girls, and they were great because they were short and very simple and very teenagers.
They were short.
And they were pink as well. And
the books of the girls.
The books, and they had 4 main characters, and they were your typical simplified, typized characters. Where each character would have like this typical personality, and would never go out of its character.
Can you tell me something? Is a typical personality different from a typical personality?
Yes, because this was like super typical. This was like, they always emphasize these characteristics of these heroes, And there was one of them was like supposed to be like the rebel, right? So she had very rebellious haircut, and she dressed very rebelliously, and she played in a rock and roll band, and she played the drums, of course, because she was very rebellious. And the rock and roll band
girls make excellent drummers.
Yes, and
their sense of rhythm is fantastic.
Excuse me.
Sorry, it was the first thing that came into my head.
Are you just being sexist, saying that women don't have the sense of rhythm?
Would I be?
No, you would not, because they would be very, very unintelligent, and you're not very, very unintelligent. So I'm pretty sure
women are great singer-songwriters. I was listening to Tracy Chapman the other day, and she was brilliant.
Yes, she also had a voice like a man. Have you noticed?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I thought she looked like a man.
When I was very young, right? When I was very young, and I was introduced to Tracy Chapman via YouTube. She wants apple juice.
Josie wants apple juice.
Come on then.
But there is no apple juice.
It's empty, darling. It's empty. See, there's nothing in there. There's one last drop.
I've got the apple juice over here.
Look, you can drink the one last drop out of the bottle. Yeah. She's not likely to spill that because there's really only like one drop.
Right. I wonder where all the juice went.
All gone. All gone.
Right.
Go and watch Scooby-Doo. So I really, I listened to Tracy Chapman and I saw her on the video, but for quite a long time I really didn't know whether she was a man or a woman, as evil as that may sound. But she's great anyhow. She's great. That was just silly. That was just silly me, silly little girl, not being very confused and not knowing how to Google it. Of course, obviously, my English wasn't very good back then, and it didn't occur to me to actually like Google her biography or something. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So where was I going with this? Oh yeah, her rock and roll band was called Iron Wombat. So
well, that's just a ridiculously silly name.
It is.
Not that Iron Maiden isn't a silly name as well.
I know. Not that all the rock and roll bands really have really silly names. Like the anal whatever storms.
anal thunder.
Anal thunder. Yeah.
Real bands.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just going to check what happens.
So it wasn't that unrealistic to call it that.
This is the chat into the chat section.
I read all those books. Would you believe?
I would.
I read all the books that I could get from the library, and the library did not have the full series. Either that, or somebody stole some of the books, or they were just always gone because they were super popular, and you had to queue actually. Right? They had a list. They had a list in the library, and they would write you down in the list as the next one who can have the book because they were so popular.
I just had the A-Team theme tune going through my head for no apparent reason.
So?
Oh, well, that's just normal around here, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfectly normal.
Absolutely.
Look, when I typed in... Okay, let's see all the technical stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I have to check whether the YouTube stream is going out. I'll do that in a second. Mm-hmm. Right, it's only taking me like 20 minutes to do the basics today.
What's the time? We're in a hurry as well, guys. Because G has to teach at 2 o'clock, don't you? So we're gonna be in a hurry very soon.
Apple juice doesn't come from a milk carton.
That's milk, sweetie. Would you like some milk? I have to go and pour some milk for her. She's desperate. You check the streams while I'm going.
No, I need someone to talk while I'm doing it because I can't do it.
I'm talking now. Then check it quickly. I'm talking.
Well, no. The problem is, right? I typed in the chat up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Typed in, this is the chat.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, it'll appear on the mobile.
And it doesn't.
Refresh
it. I have to go.
I can't constantly refresh the chat. The whole point is for people to chat in live time. I guess I'll just leave that on up there and whatever happens. She's gone. She's gone. She done gone and left me. I've been left alone. Do you like my hair, guys? I thought I'd be a bit more in people's faces this week with the hair. What do you think? Am I getting in your face there? Of course, on the podcast you can't see my hair. On the audio podcast, of course. But you can imagine, right? Imagine.
Hi.
If you imagined a duck with a small Mohican, that would be pretty close to what I look like today. All right, if you imagine a crocodile smoking a cigar, that would probably be just as close as a duck with a Mohican.
Right, yes.
Right.
So, shall we actually talk about something intelligent today?
Parental.
Yeah, I've got something
interesting. Do you like what I've done?
I love it. I love it. I think it's wonderful. Why are you only yourself, you, and we're two of them, us here? That almost made sense.
Roswell would be.
Why is that?
I seen him tomorrow.
Why is there only one of you up there
and two of us down here? What?
Look, see?
What?
I mean, what's happening? There's like there's another you on the other side of that screen looking at us, the real us. Oh, there I come. Okay. Cool. I'm sorry. Sorry guys, I'm watching the Facebook stream up there.
No, just leaned on my mic.
And it seems to have a slight delay.
Thing.
But then the guy, what was his name?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The guy that we tested the system with.
Oh,
the guy from Oregon.
Martin Bishop.
Yeah, Martin said that it had like 17 seconds delay, so...
it's going to have even more delay because it's going through this system into that system. So before, the basic delay was...
see, he said 17 seconds. I don't know. He's measured it.
You know what I thought was funny about that?
What?
That he said like 17. Right? He didn't say
exactly.
Didn't say it's delayed a little bit or
it's about 15.
Yeah. It's kind of plus minus 15, 20. He was like it's 17 seconds.
An exact person. That's great. That's like a scientist approach,
well,
right?
That's his approach to things, and
that's great.
I like that.
Yeah, he measures things.
Tends to have good analytical skills.
That's good.
It's a shame he's not going to hear this.
That's good. Praise.
It's
praise of Martin Bishop from Oregon.
Yeah. I should link him in the.
Yes, you should tag him.
I should tag him.
Give him the seconds as well. You know, like listen to the second 13.7.
Martin.
But you have to be very exact.
Look, it does work.
Oh, look at that.
Look, I can tag Martin Bishop.
Wow. Isn't that cool?
I can tag Martin Bishop in the comments there. Yeah, so I'll just tag Martin Bishop in the comments, and that there's two reasons for that. Number one, we're using the new system, and number two, he can see that it works because when he was asking me all this stuff before, it was like 5 seconds after I got the software, and I was like, I don't even know what part of the screen to click on, and I was looking like a complete
nitwit.
Nonce.
Nitwit.
I'm not sure that that's a word, but it should be nonce.
Nincompoop.
You've brought toilets into the conversation
I did not. It's a word that has nothing to do with a toilet.
Of course it has something to do with a toilet. Why do you think the last 4 letters are what they are? Why do you think the last 4 letters are what they are? Anyway, the reason for Martin Bishop's he's going to be fast asleep, right? Because it's going to be like
it's like 3 o'clock out there.
3 a.m. in the morning, right?
Oh, he can watch us later.
Yeah,
I'm sure he will love it.
Yeah, that'll be tagged. At this time.
Oh.
In the conversation, after it goes live, it tags the times.
Yes, but if he clicks it. If he clicks the tag, he goes into his notifications and he clicks the tag, does that mean that it'll start the video from the time he's been tagged?
If I press this button, will my car fly to the moon?
No, but how cool would that be?
There's a picture of the moon on it.
How cool would that be? I mean,
I don't know.
Why don't those Facebook people out there who have all the technology in the world do that? That can't be that difficult. Can't be that difficult, Facebook people.
Wait.
Just move your lazy.
Is this a woman telling me that something technical can't be that difficult?
It can't be that difficult.
Look, did you see the cam-controlled way in which I set things up today?
Sorry, what?
The cam-controlled way in which I set things up today. Did you see that?
The cam-controlled way. I don't.
You make it sound like a teaching method.
I didn't see anything.
Method.
I didn't see any. I didn't watch because you were standing here and you were swearing very loudly. So I thought I'd rather not watch or hear or anything. I just turned my senses off.
Can you do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That would explain why women do what they do.
It's a superpower. You can't do motherhood without that kind of button that turns off your senses. Otherwise, you go insane. You just have to turn yourself off. Like in the afternoon, you go and you tell your kids, "I'm having my coffee," and then you're
a typical Slovakian.
Shut up.
What?
And then you turn off your senses, right? And then you put on the autoresponder, and the autoresponder is, "I'm having my coffee." And you turn that on for 15 minutes, and then every time something happens and the kids come running to you, you just say, the autoresponder comes on and it just says, "I'm having my coffee." You have to do that sometimes.
Women and computers are basically the same thing.
No, but they have some similar systems in place. Sometimes you just have to, in the afternoon when you're having your coffee, you have to put on the autoresponder. Otherwise, you'll never get to have your coffee. Anyway,
let's spell Practical Parenting Podcast. Okay.
Practical Parenting Podcast. Yes, I think you did. What's up, darling? You're sweating in the dress.
Take it off.
Oh,
darling,
you can take it off then, sweetie.
It's okay.
We'll just put it back on before we go. She hates wearing clothes. Our middle
clothes as well.
Our middle daughter, our 4-year-old daughter, hates wearing clothes. If we don't go outside, she doesn't wear clothes all day.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. If we don't have to go outside, she just won't wear clothes. Unless I want to take a video. Right, because then I have to dress her.
Yeah.
Okay, darling.
Rules from the grandparents. Remember to put clothes on your kids before you hit record.
Yeah.
Or go live or do anything.
So, hey, I've got something to talk about.
Wait.
What?
I haven't finished.
Oh,
what I do want to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. I definitely want to talk about it.
Are we going to have time?
Into the eternal...
That's okay. I like that when I disappear into the wall. It kind of makes me look younger.
You look even younger when you take your glasses off.
I know, but I put them on because I've got some notes here that I would like to use while I'm talking about something very interesting today.
Almost a Scottish accent again.
And it's going to take me about 30 seconds to talk about it. So now I'm going to build it up.
Don't like one of those.
I'm building it up.
I hate the way that people on radio programs and TV programs are like, we've got something really important to tell you, but we're not going to tell you right now. We're going to make you wait till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's like this complete like anticlimax when it's something ridiculously unimportant. Right?
It is, and they only say it because they're on the other side of the radio and you can't punch them in the face. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be slightly anticlimactic as well, but never mind. Yeah, so we're finishing the, what are we finishing?
If you're online and watching us, you have to write in, look at this, now that I've got this system set up, I can just write people's names randomly, can't I?
You can just tag people, they're going to hate you.
Yeah.
Tag Ivana. She might be at work and she might be able to watch on Facebook at work.
People at work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do one more. I'll tag Ivana.
Tag Ivana, yeah. She might like that.
Online video chat.
Hi, Ivana. Hi.
You can't do that until after the tag has appeared.
Oh, right.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, Ivana. I'm doing it again.
I put a smiley face after
everybody. That's a bit scary.
It's not a bit scary.
Didn't you say that the smiley faces were didn't you say that the smile using the emojis was slightly
retarded?
Yes. For people who don't have the verbal capacities to express themselves.
Positive side and negative side. The positive side is that all international communication. You don't need language. Blah blah blah. The people can say that they're happy. Although, people could learn the word happy. I mean, it's not like a very complicated word, right?
Yeah.
But so it does cross cultural borders.
Well, I think it's like yawning a bit. I think
you're about to dance there.
Yes, I think it's like the non-verbal side of this internet communication, right? Because people can't see what your face looks like. You insert that little yellow thing, you know, so that you show people what your face
if you could have like you could set up your own emojis of your own face.
I think you can.
Oh no!
You can create. I was on Google the other day, and there is like this Google Allo. I think it's called Allo, ALLO.
Is that like hello?
Application. It's like hello in French. Allo.
Hello.
And I think they have and I googled it because I did some translations for them, and they do like internet chat stickers for, I imagine, for the Hangout. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think there's a function where you can actually kind of, you know, upload your face and turn it into emojis. I'm not 100% sure, but that what it kind of looked like. Okay.
That what it kind of looked like.
Yeah, it said you know, create your own emoji stickers with your own face. So I mean, I didn't test it. I can test it actually, and then I can show you the result when I have like 5 seconds time in this crazy world where I have like 0 time right now because I'm preparing the webinar and I'm handing in a translation on Monday, and I'm kind of have a lot of work to do.
You have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm making work for myself at the moment. So.
Good.
It's a good thing.
Good. Anyway, yeah.
Before.
So did you test that stream?
Oh damn! I knew there was something I forgot to do. Have you noticed?
You have to write things down, G. You should have a checklist stuck here that says.
I have a very good checklist for things, but if you've noticed today, things are a little bit different.
I have noticed.
When you are trying and failing usually, but we'll see. When you try to take things forward, you know, see what we can do with the Facebook technology, if it works, right? Is we can then, as you saw from the conversation with Martin, who I wanted to name check. Martin, thank you very much for his
insight.
His insight from the other side. His
know-how.
Yeah, he knew how to completely disconnect on the other side, but that's another thing. He was, you know, I love people who are just happy to hop on and experiment with all the technology, and they don't, you know, it's like they realize, okay, we need a bit of time, and not everything works the first time, but you smooth it out, you iron it out, and you get there, or you just scrap the whole thing, right?
It was
like airships.
He gave you like an hour of his life, right, or 2. So I think that was very generous.
I thought it was really, because I know that he's really really busy person, and so but it was random. You know how random that was. And
I know. I've noticed.
He just I got the software and went, okay, how does this work? Click. Oh, I'm live on the internet. And then he's like, what are you doing? How does this work? I don't know. Just click the button. That's the way it goes.
It's cool.
Yeah. So what we can do, theoretically, is we can bring in other people into the conversation and you know, have that live Facebook chat.
Maybe we should try that together one day. You know, like you could bring me in, and I'll just be in the next room. But
just come in through the door like a normal person.
But we'll be doing it with the extra window up there in the corner, you know.
Well, that's one of the tests that we have to do. But I wanted to get like Mariana or Ivana to come in and talk about a few things, as there are a lot of people who I'd like to get their opinions off it. We're only about half an hour in, and I think it's probably about time to check and see if the YouTube stream is going out.
I think that's a good idea.
Now, while I check the YouTube stream, have you noticed the trees are beginning to change color?
I have noticed, actually. I was outside with the kids yesterday, and we were looking at one tree that was completely pink at the top and completely green at the bottom. So that was quite nice to see. I love it when trees start to change color.
Oh, sorry, I can't turn the volume down. I don't know where the button is. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, you can obviously hear me, so that's good.
Yes.
So I love autumn, well, and I love it when.
So that stream is working.
I love it when you've got the sun, the low autumn sun shining through those colourful leaves. It's all
the low autumn
sun. Yeah, because it's not as high up above the horizon anymore. It's autumn. I
have had to explain to so many people this week that the Americans don't say autumn; they say fall. Yeah. And it appeared in lots of different texts that I was using, and everyone thought like it meant fall down.
It's funny because we learned that quite early in my English learning journey. We had like the American versus British English lesson quite early into my studying English. And that was one of the, you had the lift elevator, you had the fall and autumn, and what else did you have? The underground, and the tube or whatever, right?
Yeah, sort of. A lot of those things are all interchangeable. There's something like 100 words. Just Can I bitch about the British English, American English thing? Right.
For a little while.
There's no difference. That's it. I'm finished. It's like all these people that make all this money from, we teach British English, we teach American English. There's no difference between the two. Get up, get on with life, get over it, and any difference that you can find can be learned in 10, maybe 15 minutes maximum.
There are cultural, there are words that are used differently. There are slight cultural differences.
It's pointless studying it, though. I mean, it's like studying the difference between two words which are pronounced one word.
I'll tell you what. I think from my position of a non-native speaker, I think it is pointless studying it because you have to spend time in the country anyhow to learn about the culture. You're still going to be you can learn a few Americanisms, but you're still going to be completely out of the conversation if you don't know anything about the culture. You're still not going to understand half the things that people are saying if you don't know anything about the culture. If you haven't been there, if you haven't been a part of it.
I just remember that person coming to my office and saying, I want to learn American English. I'm like, well, I can teach you the differences in 50 minutes, and there is basically no such thing really as American
English.
This is as a professional working in this industry for 20 years and having run my own private school for more than 15. This is a fact.
Well, there are differences in the pronunciation.
You can put a stamp on it and send it to anyone you want. It's a fact.
If you look at it from the phonetic point of view, you can explain the differences in the pronunciation, and you can practice them. But that's about it. I mean, you want to learn American English? Watch American series. That's it.
Well, all you're going to do is pick up an American accent. That's the only different thing that's going to happen.
Even Will picked up American accent, in his 8 years of life just by watching American films. So,
people ask me why I don't have a British accent when I'm working, or a Scottish accent when I'm working, and
nobody would understand you.
Yeah, so that we neutralize it.
People would think you're speaking Swedish.
That's Swedish for.
That's not language.
I spilt the milk.
Do it! Put your pants off, quick!
Can you do it? Can she do it all by herself, like a big girl?
Pull down! And pull the rest of the pants off.
That's good.
Pull the knickers. The knickers. Don't forget the knickers.
Live body training.
Don't forget the knickers. Pull.
That's great. And pull the t-shirt up.
Super.
Round of applause.
She made it.
Round of applause. That is as impressive as Scotland beating Slovakia in the football last night.
I have to go empty the potty and wipe the butts.
That was fast. Oh, they're all at it. They're all at it in the background there. Right. Leaving me to talk about all things parenting, because I just mentioned the football last night. Scotland played against Slovakia, and it was a World Cup qualifying match. And Scotland won in the last 2 minutes of the game. Scotland scored, and it puts them in a prime position to qualify for the World Cup next year. What's that got to do with parenting? I'm not sure, to be honest. Do you watch sport with your kids? Should you watch sport with your kids? How much sport should you introduce to your kids? It's I think it's quite an important question to address, it's something that I haven't focused. I like sports, but I didn't focus too much on over. What do you call it when you show too much of something to people?
Exposure.
That's it. I couldn't think of the word. Overexposure. I tried not to overexpose Will to too many sports when he was younger, because I knew that they would interest me, and I didn't want all my interests to be exactly all of his interests. As a result, he has very little connection with any sports at all. No. So it is interesting how you parent in the early years.
You know, I find your relationship with sports very conflicting, because on one hand you kind of enjoy watching the occasional football match.
Excuse me. When was the last time I watched a football match?
That's why I said occasional.
I didn't even watch the match last night. I did not.
Yeah, no.
Occasional. Would you? I watched the 5-minute highlights on the internet this morning. Because I did like an hour and a half plus to sit and watch guys kick a big plastic bag full of air around a park and get paid for it.
So that's what I mean. Ridiculous. That's what I mean by conflicted. Because
conflicting.
Like conflicting. Like sometimes. sorry.
Grammatica.
Sometimes you're like this morning you were like, hey, Scottish beat Slovaks, hey, and yet you find the whole idea of football being completely ridiculous and absurd, right? Because people are chasing a bag of air around the grass.
Yeah.
So.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Still getting over that. Can't put it back. Even though my ears are the size of an elephant's, I can't put my can't get my mic back on.
They're not. Anyway, yeah, we haven't really been watching football, but what we have been doing.
No, wait, we haven't finished the conversation.
I have.
Is that? He coughed. I stopped. Okay, no. Not about football.
Yeah.
Conflicting thing. That's something worth exploring. No, because I think sports, when the individual plays them for themselves, are extremely worthwhile. Mm-hmm. There's the dedication, the teamwork, the planning, the organization. And in my 13 Principles of Elite Schools, you can read the passage about sports there, the article that I wrote, with all the benefits that people
I remember it,
gain from sports. Even though I did write Ruby-Roo. Oh, sorry.
You're turning into Scooby-Doo.
I wish. I did later write a criticism of sports, but you have to write kind of both sides. I think the intelligent mind sort of searches for alternative opinions. Anyway, I think for the individual person it's great. I think the amount of time that men waste projecting the image of their masculinity onto what other people are doing through a screen is it borders on the ridiculous, especially when it can be. There's so little variation, in my opinion, between the games. Once you've watched X many games, do you have to watch any more? Should you not move on to something else?
You can move on to basketball.
There's nothing wrong with being a spectator, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with being part of that, and you can be part of a community and things. I distance myself from it because I see the ridiculousness of how the top sports people are in general overpaid. They don't they don't openly contribute much to society, because every time they open their mouth to make any sensible comment, they're annihilated by the media. So it's kind of interesting. Nothing against anyone doing anything. If you want to build up your wealth, and if you want to be like Andy Murray and be a great tennis player and build up a personal fortune and work hard at doing that, hey, good. There's a million worse things you could do with your life. So
it's not just that. It's also being a positive role model. Yeah, I kind of like the fact that sports people can be, and should be actually, positive role models for young people, because they have they have a massive reach, right?
Well, they do, but I mean, if you consider the platform that people like, if you take football, soccer, for you Americans who don't know what real football is, it's played with a round ball, and what was I going to say? Oh yeah, people like David Beckham, right? Massive platform. Which he utilizes very well for his professional brand.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's pretty hard to look at his great contribution to humanity. Now, you can also say that he shouldn't have to, because as long as he takes care of himself and his family, that's fine. So.
Well, no, I think as soon as you make yourself super popular, and there's a lot of people looking at you as their role model, you have a certain responsibility, right? So I don't think that people who are popular and whose job it is to be popular, actually, who are making money of being popular, I don't think that they should just mind their own business, because they've built their career on that. And I think that there is a certain responsibility that comes out of it that they should realize, and that's why I think they should be active in social spheres, and maybe even in politics if they feel that it's important. And most of all, they should be a positive example for everybody else, right? That's why I don't like those rock and roll stars that are super popular and super good singers and super good musicians, and then they go off and drug themselves.
The ones that all kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Go and take drugs and drink heavily and then kill themselves. I mean, what kind of example is that, right? Singer
of every single well-known grunge rock band committed suicide. Well, with one exception, the Pearl Jam singer is still alive, but all the other ones killed themselves.
I've heard about Pearl Jam. Who told that to me? That they have problems with their concerts because people would be killing themselves at the concerts or something.
There were. I think I have no idea what you're talking about, but I do know that there was a Pearl Jam concert where some of the fans died because they were crushed at the front because they were too close to the to the stage,
something about suicides,
really,
but maybe that was just something at the back of my mind.
They had a song called "Worldwide Suicide." I don't know what that's about. I just remember that was a very strange title, kind of rocky.
Worldwide Suicide. Probably something about the internet. Anyway.
But that's just another. See, Pearl Jam were just another one of those bands that made an absolutely blinding first album, and then spend the rest of their life trying to recreate it and failing miserably, but living comfortably.
Yeah, I used to like Pearl Jam, and probably their first album. What was the name of their first album?
10.
Yes, that was the one that was good.
So,
okay.
I had this cassette tape, and on one side was Pearl Jam's 10, on the other side was Nirvana's Nevermind.
Ooh,
could you imagine
what a combination.
Just like finish, turn it over, finish, turn it over.
I had this dream. You remember how I told you that sometimes I have these really, really live dreams that change completely everything in your head, right?
No.
Like you wake up.
What?
You
like really, what?
Sometimes when I'm pregnant, okay, I'm going to make this particular. When I'm pregnant, I have these extremely live dreams, which are like when I wake up and I feel like that thing actually really happened. It's so live, like you've got, you can feel things.
Like, is it
vivid? Extremely vivid. It's like that actually happened.
What is lucid dreaming? What's that?
Lucid dreaming is when you know that you're dreaming. when you're dreaming and you know that you're dreaming.
Okay, that's lucid dreaming.
Yes.
Okay, and vivid is just like really,
reality.
Real.
Yes, okay. Really real, and especially extremely emotional as well. You know. So I had one of those when I was pregnant with Will, and I was at the Pearl Jam concert, and it was just like, I had the time.
You had a dream that you were, darling, if you're going to move the chair over there, could you pick it up and move it rather than drag it across the floor?
I had the time of my life, seriously. I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my God, what a party.
But you had a dream.
I had a dream. I was at a Pearl Jam concert. I could hear the songs. I could hear the complete songs in my head. You know, I was in the kind of stadium somewhere, and it was dark. There was a lot of people.
That's kind of wild.
It was a great concert. It was. I only heard about 2 songs, but I woke up and I was singing to myself. It was really good. It's really good. Anyway, yeah, I recommend that, guys. Get pregnant. 7? I was expecting that.
Sorry. Oh, you were pregnant with Will, and you had a dream about Pearl Jam.
Yes, it's really good.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. Do you remember when I was expecting? I can't remember. It was Jasmine, probably, and I knew that I was pregnant with Jasmine because of the dreams. That's how I.
You knew you were pregnant because the dreams changed.
That's how I realized that I was pregnant. That's when, I had a dream and I woke up and I was like, right, I'm going to buy myself a test because this is not usual.
Wow.
And that was it. So that's it's wild. Cool. It's wild. Yeah. So there you go. So have you done all the tests?
The piano in the background.
Girls, can you both play? Girls, Jasmine, get the chair.
No, she can't because she put all the cables over. Because Zara's put it over the cables.
Oh dear. Well,
lift up the chair.
Carefully move the chair.
Move it over to the piano, please.
So that Jazzy can sit down and play. That's it.
No, the other side. Where the space.
That's it. Super cool. Thank you.
There we go. The thing is that Zora, I think, specifically moved the chair away so
she could
play by herself.
Anyway, so it's a bit wild.
You might enjoy the melody.
The beautiful concert in the background. Yeah. Well, can I? That's wonderful when they're playing the piano.
Hello. About 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a point about tagging people in those online things.
Yeah.
Right? I just wanted to say hello if you're watching.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Practical Parenting.
You're watching this because we tagged you.
Yeah, we're very dark over there. That's just because the sun's gone behind the cloud.
There's 4 images now.
Yeah.
Because
it's very dark in that one over there.
This one?
Yeah.
No, that's kind of nice. That's contrasted.
Yeah?
You see...
You can't see my left eye.
It's...
What?
It's just a weird thing to say. You can't see my left eye.
It's true. Kind of disturbs me.
Your left...
Sorry?
Your left eye...
I don't have the coughing button. You know, like they have in television? You press a button when you cough. And then you...
Oh, it's the silencer button.
Yeah.
No, we don't have one of those.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have one.
Never mind. Hey.
Because we'll both just be pressing it and silencing each other.
I wanted to tell people about the craziness that's been going on in our house in the evenings these days.
Craziness, okay.
There's been a complete craziness.
Something about parenting.
In our house, going on in the evenings because Daddy downloaded a computer game which is called something Star Wars something, right?
How did you know the exact name of it?
I know.
It's called Star Wars Rebel Outcast 2, I think it's called.
There you go. And now you've got these 2 kids, right? One's 8-year-old, one's 43. I think 42 or 43. I don't know.
You're making me older than I actually am.
One is 42 and a half.
Yes, but I feel about
70.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, so
I look a bit younger than I am.
So they're like, one is playing on the computer here, and the other one is playing on the computer over there in the bedroom. And
what men do now.
And they're like shouting at each other, right? Because the door's open between the two rooms. They're shouting at each other, and they're like, "Is that you? Choo 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 choo! Did I just kill you?" and then he shouts from the other room. It's like, "Hey, you killed me! What are you doing?" And they just shout at each other, and they're just going choo 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 choo.
Well, yeah, more advanced. More advanced people have like headsets and mics set up, and they communicate with each other through the microphone, so they don't have to shout between rooms. But
it's so much fun.
Advanced here,
it's so much fun. I like it because I find it as a bonding time. You know, it's like a father and son bonding time kind of thing.
Well, but will we kill people together?
Yes, you kill people together. Sometimes, occasionally, you kill each other accidentally. I think that rocks. And I'm saying this because I found.
What? So she's playing. I think that's fine. I think she's fine for. I like it.
Darling.
Is there something wrong?
Well, there's something wrong. Kind of trying to watch the movie.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but I like that word. Yeah. Yep.
She does that spit kind of thing at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. that means I don't care what you're saying. I'm just going to do my own
thing. It's
thing.
like saying blah 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 blah, but she says it much faster and much more to the point.
Yeah.
To the point.
Anyway, yeah, I was talking about that because I found an interesting study today on the internet.
Okay.
About computer games, because you know how people are always scared that computer games are bad for the kids, and that the violent computer games are violent and yada yada yada.
It looks raining. If you visit, you can play. Well, I'm going to fall over there.
That's not very polite.
Trying to see what's happening on the other side. Zora, she can play. It's okay. You played.
Yeah, you played as well. Nobody told you to be quiet.
Look at that. It's kind of funny. See what the hands going. Zora, please don't ask your sister to be quiet. She's lying there scratching her part that she shouldn't scratch.
Of course.
Leave her alone. Zora.
I was on the
we're going to have full scale.
Yeah, we're going to have full scale screaming.
Parenting care. Zora, there's nothing wrong with her. You were going to introduce this.
Yes, I was.
You were just going to introduce something, and now you're going away. What am I supposed to talk about now? Oh, what do you want to talk about? Computer games? Do you play computer games with your kids? Should you play computer games with your kids? What kind of? Yes, you're quite right, darling. You're quite right, darling. I mean, should. I think that a little bit of escapism is nice. At least it's not the one-dimensional television, right? Just sitting watching a screen is just no different from being a vegetable. So at least you've got problems to solve and missions to complete, and there's some elements of teamwork, and you can explore the characterization. And some of the modern games are pretty complex, and I wouldn't recommend it all the time. And you might have noticed that I introduced it one evening and then I left it a couple of evenings.
Yeah.
I made
yeah,
sure
okay,
that,
it doesn't happen every day. I slightly exaggerated there.
Yeah, but the group of teenagers that I teach, right? We were talking about League of Legends, which is the big online game that everybody plays, and they were telling me about playing it 8 to 10 hours a day they would spend, and on average 40 hours a week they spend playing it. 40 hours.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, could you imagine if you put 40 hours into something else? You put 40 hours into learning a language, or working, or reading books, or doing sport.
But if you only made like 10 euros per hour, right?
Well, there's a lot of people who earn much less than that.
Yeah, I know. Okay, if you only earned 5 euros per hour, and 40 hours, you'd make 200 euros.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting.
So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I have read a study that was published in the social
site. You could be making money.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just collecting shields and magic spells
and points that don't really count.
But here's the point about those games, right? The point about those games is that there's obviously something there that is that keeps people's attention. I mean, they understand very well the rewards-based system. And
it's the achievements.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes people feel like they've achieved something.
It does.
Like they've earned something. And it's imaginary, but it makes them feel like they're good at something, you know. And it's so much faster than real life, right? Because in real life, it takes like hours and hours and hours and hours of hard work to get like 1 millimeter higher. And in computer games, it's just like, hey, I'm having success really fast here. And then people kind of expect that in real life, and then
it doesn't happen that way in real life, guys.
But it's okay. It's okay. I've read a study that was published in the Social Psychiatry and Psychiatric Epidemiology thing, apparently in March 2016. Yes, which said that 20%. What?
Hello.
20% of children play computer games.
Dark.
Well, it said video games. Is there a difference between video games and computer games?
Not really. In the modern world, not really. Yeah. Video games were originally... They were what came before computer games, but now it's all one.
So 20% of children play more than 5 hours per week of video games, right? And apparently it's more for boys.
As well, couldn't you?
I think you can, yeah. It was more for boys, it was more for older kids as well, right? So the older and the more boy you were, the more you played.
The more boy you were.
Yeah, but the average was about 5 hours per week. And apparently there were no reported mental health problems. They made this huge statistics, right? A huge study of children who played video games, and among those that they have studied, they have reported no mental problems, health problems that would result from playing video games, which is positive. But not only that, you know that people sometimes are worried about, you know, oh, my kids are getting more stupid by playing video games. Actually, it's not true. The statistics or the study reported that kids who played video games had higher intellectual functioning, whatever that means, and they had higher overall school competence. So the study concluded that that playing video games has positive effects on kids, and not only when it comes to the school competence and the intellectual functioning, but also peer relationships, and pro-social. They had less pro-social deficits.
She's fairly hammering on those keys now.
So apparently, video games are good for kids when it comes to
but the neighbors love that.
Their social relationships and their development of their brains, their intellects.
Well, if you're using it like a two-way system, right, you are actually thinking about what you're doing. You're thinking within a certain framework, because you can't get out of the game or out of the components of the game, but you can explore that world. Think of it like this. Think of it a bit like drama and theatre, right? If you're doing this improv drama and theatre, which like I did when I lived in London, then you can sort of explore. You can imagine being anywhere. It's like, okay, right, I'm a bus driver, or right, I'm a spider building a web, or I'm a tree in a rainforest on a foreign planet, whatever.
Yeah, on one hand, it makes you like think out of the box, right?
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is that you get to explore alternative ideas that maybe otherwise you wouldn't or couldn't
On the other hand, I'll tell you what I didn't enjoy when I used to play. I used to play those adventure games, you know, where you have a problem and you have to come up with a solution to that problem, and there was only ever one possible solution. You know those like the broken sword game that Will played on his tablet, right?
Oh yeah, you have situations and
and you have to solve the situation, but there was only ever one correct answer. Right, and that's what I didn't like about the game. It was a bit like the school. It was a bit like you have to mind read the game to see what correct solution you should, you know. If you give these like similar solutions and several solutions that you can use, then that would be even more like, you know, promoting problem solving, you know?
Yeah, because then you have to learn to make a decision and live with the consequences of that decision. And you can do it in a game. You can do it in a relatively safe environment there. So it does give you opportunities to explore.
Because if there's only one solution to a problem in an adventure game, then if you're stuck, all you're gonna do is you're gonna Google it on the internet and find out what to do, right?
Well, I've never done that before.
So
the reason why we ended up playing that tournament kind of pair game, which was never part of a plan. It was, here it says you can have more than one player in the game, and well, where does this go? And it was, okay, right. So it was interesting. It wasn't any part of the original plan, which is interesting in terms of decision making. Because throw in this little nugget here at the end. I was listening to the Lewis Howes podcast this week, the School of Greatness. Okay. And he was interviewing one of the world's top poker players, who's a young guy, age 24. And he's retiring from the game because, you know, he's done everything he can do. And, you know, Lewis was trying to, you know, pick up tricks and tips and, you know, how he sees the world and, you know, what kind of thought processes he goes through and how he thinks about how he's playing. And the guy said, he said, results are unimportant.
Yeah.
It's being happy with the decisions that you've made and knowing that you made the right decision at the right time for the right reason that is important.
Ooh, okay.
And I stopped. I was stopped me in my tracks, basically. And I thought, that's so useful and helpful. That the result is very often something that we can't affect. However, and the result is a result of the decisions that we make, and very often we can make absolutely the right decision for the right reason and still not come out with the result that we want. But that's okay as long as we're happy with our decision and we focus on making the right decisions rather than getting the right results.
Can you imagine that guy? Okay, you say he's 24 and he's retiring from playing poker because he's like made a lot of money playing poker, right? When did he start playing poker? Can you imagine that guy being like 15, right? Starting playing poker, right? Can you imagine the hell he would get if he had your typical parents, right? He'd probably get hell for it, right? But like, oh, you're supposed to be studying, you're supposed to be learning your biology, and you're playing poker.
He failed most things at school.
Yeah.
Well, that's Will's. She's gone off with Will's book, and.
Darling, you have to tell Will to do that for you, sweetie.
Yeah. Well, you might want to get him to save his book first before Jazz.
Oh, she's not going to destroy it. She just wants to read it.
Oh, famous last words. We'll see on the podcast, on the next podcast, whether or not the book survives. Yeah. Right.
Anyway, you can imagine the hell he must have been getting. Like, get up off your ass and do something constructive and stop playing poker on the internet because it's useless and it's pointless, and then bing! He's a millionaire or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was going through school with average grades and average results, and he found something that interested him. And then he said at university he just got bored, and then he said when he did work he just got stressed, and he decided that none of this was good for him at all.
Sounds like my sister.
Yeah. And so he decided that the best thing for him was to go and do something completely different. So, and that's what worked for him. You know? And it's nice that he channeled his time into doing something constructive rather than destructive. I think, which is really nice.
Okay, man, we have to finish because it's 2 o'clock and you have to go and we have to go. So we'd like to wrap this up.
Wait. I want to say that the technology thing is important because there's an article on my old website called Technological Addiction, where I looked at different studies of how technology benefits people.
Will, can you help Zora, please? Thank you.
Right. So it's technological addiction, and I look at all the studies, and if you go to Psychology Today, they've got lots of studies on how different games affect different people, on how technology is possible. Darling, could you just wait 60 seconds, please? We have to finish the podcast, so you have to hold on to those words for 60 seconds. It's chaos. Right. Anyway, remind me, and I'll put the technological addiction link under, and people can read all the studies, because all the studies are there. The Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching is where you can find more information about what we do. You'll find it on YouTube and on Facebook. The website is www.nsa-slovakia.com.
Remember that we're preparing a parenting webinar for you, which is completely, absolutely free, and it's going to have a lot of great content. And it's going to be very, very helpful.
The content will make you content.
Absolutely. So you might want to check it out on 21centurymum, spelled MUM.com.
She's going to put a link to all the information under the video on Facebook.
Absolutely.
And if you're catching up with us on YouTube, then catch up with us even more.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching.
And tuning in and listening.
Yes. And
we tried a new system today, so we're going to see if it goes out okay. If it's good, we'll keep it. If it's bad, we'll either go back to the old system or rethink everything.
Absolutely.
Because
because we're really good at rethinking everything, aren't we?
Anyway, it's kind of time to finish. So say bye to the people on Facebook.
Bye, everybody on Facebook. It was lovely to be seen by you again.
Bye Facebook.
Bye Facebook.
And the podcast. I don't know where to click now because we've got a new system. So I'm confused.
You have to click on something here, I think. No.
End stream. I click on end stream, but I don't know if it ends it now or if it does the.
Well, we'll see.
Okay. There we go. So I'm ending the stream there.
Okay.
I'm finishing this one right here on the podcast.
And we're going to say bye-bye to people on YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we're going to be seeing you again soon. Probably tomorrow, right? Because it's Saturday and we have nothing to do.
Speak for yourself.
Bye.